On now, but the tradition of the old-fashioned quilting bee lives on. From Bedeque tonight, this report from Wileen Lafoy.
Bedeque, Prince Edward Island. The old community hall has changed a bit. It's now home to the village craft shop. But what goes on inside is no break from tradition.
Somebody made it and used more beige than brown. Didn't look quite so dark.
4 days a week, these ladies come here to make quilts the old-fashioned way. It's a return to the days when pioneer women called on their neighbors for help.
Usually they'd put the quilt in, and then they get some of the neighbors in, and they'd have a heyday at it. And usually the one that had the quilt would have supper or lunch ready, you know, whether they were there in the morning or there in the afternoon, evening. And they'd have lunch together, and they'd go back to quilting. And they usually got one quilt done in an afternoon.
A dozen women help with the work here. This quilt is made from 1,400 pieces. It'll take 2 weeks to finish it. The ladies make about 25 quilts a year. They'll sell for $300 to $600 each, mostly to tourists. Craft house manager Joy McWilliams admits they're expensive, but worth it.
The piecework, the handwork, where you can go to a store and buy a comforter that's machine stitched. When you buy a quilt that is done by hand, you have something to show for your money.
Mary Cairns is the oldest quilter in the group. She's been doing it almost all her 80 years. This quilt is her project.
My mother had a small rocking chair, and I had a little rocking chair, and she used to sit in her chair and quilt, and I sat beside her, and I tried to quilt with 1-inch pieces, making doll's quilts. And this design always fascinated me, and long before I was really able to do anything worthwhile, I was trying to work this out. But when I was about 15 years old, there was an old lady moved to my home from Boise, Idaho, and she had pioneered out there, and at that time she was 81 years old, and she taught me how to do this quilt. And it's one of my specialties now.
This design is called the log cabin because it's built from pieces like logs. The ladies know all the popular styles: dove in the window, the bear's paw, the clipper ship, and more fanciful names like grandmother's dream and the contrary wife. They'll custom make any style. You can even pick your favorite colors and patterns from the fabric they keep in stock. It's exacting work, and the ladies have it down to a science. But Mary says things have changed over the years.
In the old days, they had a piece usually of your father's shirt back. You know, they didn't wear out as fast as their elbows and cuffs did. And you sewed them onto this shirt back, and it made it more stabilized. We don't have to put the interlining in now. And that, to me, is a big change for the better, because we don't sew them by hand now. We sew them by machine, and then we do all the quilting by hand. And that makes a difference.
Some would consider this tedious work. It's slow, and it's hard on the fingers. But oh, that glorious moment when the work is finally done.
It's almost impossible to describe. You're relieved, and you're thankful it's done, and there's a terrific thrill about it.
Mary admits she's hooked.
One of the first things I can remember is color. Even as a 4 or 5-year-old kid, I was interested in color, and this satisfies that desire to combine colors and patterns, and then you get so interested, and you finally make up a pattern or two of your own, and it's really a challenge.
It sounds like you're hooked. You sound like an addict.
I am an addict. In more ways than one.
It seems these quilters just can't get enough.
I had the quilt in over the weekend, and I had all these ladies. We're closed here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I had them all invited in Saturday at my house, and we quilted there. I gave them a bite to eat for supper.
So 4 days a week isn't enough.
No.
You have to do it on the weekends, too.
It's the only way we can get any help.
Someone always has something funny to say. This second-year quilter says she feels like a rookie.
Oh, yes, they had to crack my fingers quite a few times before I got started.
But now you're an old pro.
Oh, I'm an old pro.
What the ladies really enjoy is sharing company.
What's your favorite part of this, Valda?
Oh, I think working with the ladies. And I enjoy the quilting, too. I really enjoy the work. But I enjoy the fellowship. And we have a lot of fun.
People used to call these hen parties. Is that what they are?
I guess they're all hen parties. We enjoy them anyway, getting together, and it's like we used to do at home too. We'd always, my aunts would come in and help us, and we'd have quilting parties at home and that. But this is very much the same.
What kind of fun do you have together?
We don't tell us outside the shop.
The ladies share laughter, they share hard work, and they share satisfaction when the job is done. As Mary sees it, what more could you ask for? Quilting is a tradition that's Mary's way of life.
You asked me how long I was going to quilt, and I'd probably tell you as long as I can work the needle.
You're never going to stop.
There's no point in it. It gives you something to do. And when you can do something that's so satisfying, both creatively and, well, to me in all ways, then I think it's worthwhile carrying on. And who knows when I might possibly infect somebody else with the mania.